Right people, for those wondering when exactly we're getting the new base iPad, Gurman finally drops us a hint and it could be launching in the next few months. Essentially, a private account on Twitter had first suggested the iPad 11 would launch alongside iPadOS 18.3, which based on previous 0.3 updates could suggest a late Jan release, which would be very soon. But before we got excited, Mark Gurman had to crush our dreams, and apparently the base iPad, according to him, won't be releasing in the next week or so. So yes, Gurman says that whilst a new iPad has been developed with iPadOS 18.3 and may ship with it, that does not mean we're going to see both iPadOS 18.3 and the new base iPad released together. So when does Gurman think we're going to see the iPad 11? Well, Mr. Vig is back to being Mr. Vig as per usual and simply says we should see it by April, which is a much longer time frame. Now it is annoying Gurman won't give us an exact date or month, but I'm going to side with him here because yes, there have been rare occasions where we have got new hardware in Jan, for example new M2 Pro MacBook Pros, but generally Apple sticks to launching new products in the spring, and so March or April timeframe for the new base iPad does make sense. Now could we see an event or could it be a press release? I'm unsure right now, but considering this is the base iPads, Apple could quite easily drop this via site refresh, and so we shall see what Apple's plans are. You know what your plan should be right now though? To click that subscribe button, because I would appreciate it and would bring you the latest about Apple right to subscription box. The button is below. Join the Saranbyte gang now. Anyway, what can we expect with iPad 11? Well, interestingly, in one of Gurman's older reports, he mentions entry-level iPads in plural, with him then giving us the codenames for these iPads, which are J481 and J482. Now, what does this mean? Well, the boring answer is that this is the Wi-Fi and cellular version of the base iPads, but usually there would not be two separate codenames for such minute differences. But Gurman also fails to explain what this could mean, and so why don't we speculate what this could mean? The first possibility is maybe a new size option. I mean, I've actually always wanted a 12.9-inch base iPad. That would be pretty awesome in my opinion for those who want the large screen experience without the high price tag, and could be around $500, which would be absolutely amazing. But I don't see that happening because that could potentially cannibalize the iPad Air. So I think the second possibility that's much more likely is Apple giving us two versions of the iPad 11, one with Apple Intelligence and one without. You see, Gurman has told us the base iPad's getting Apple Intelligence support, and so at the very least it should be getting the A17 for it to run this. But that sounds a little too good to be true because remember the iPad mini that's $150 more has the A17 Pro, and so for the base iPad to have the same chipset and be much cheaper would make the iPad mini horrible value. And so I reckon the $349 iPad 10 we have right now is going to be replaced by an A16 iPad 11, one that does not support Apple Intelligence, but will still be a decent spec upgrade over the A14 in the iPad 10. Then maybe for $399 or $429 we get an A17 or A18 version of the iPad 11 that has 8 gigs of RAM compared to 6 gigs, and also most importantly has Apple Intelligence support. I know it still would be weird for the more expensive iPad mini not to have a much superior chipset, but maybe the mini also gets another update this year to a new chipset, considering the A17 Pro is not really in circulation anymore and is based on the inferior TSMC N3B process. And so the plan could be for the base iPad to get the A18 and the iPad mini to get the A18 Pro later in the year. If that doesn't happen though, I can see the base iPad using a rebranded base A17, just so the mini is still technically a superior product with the A17 Pro. Yes, this is all just marketing waffle. At the end of the day though, I just don't see Apple offering the power of the A18 or even the A17 for just $349. That seems too good to be true, guys. I think similar to what they did recently with AirPods 4, where there's a non-ANC version and an ANC version, we will get two new versions of the iPad 11. And also remember that when the iPad 10 originally launched, the iPad 9 had stuck around for $329. And so this would not be the first time they split the base iPad into two models. I know it's weird, but we know that Apple cares a lot about Apple Intelligence and also their profit margins, and so I could see this happening. Though eventually the higher end model with the A17 or the A18 will come down to $349, just like the iPad 10 came down from $449 to $349. Now you may be asking, is that the only thing that sets this apart from the iPad 10? Well, mostly yes, but we can expect a few other smaller changes based on what we've seen with recent iPad releases. The first thing is connectivity improvements. I can definitely see them making a huge fuss about Wi-Fi 6E even though most don't have Wi-Fi 6E routers to take advantage of the better speeds, but expect that alongside Bluetooth 5.3 support. The next thing I'm kind of curious about is Apple Pencil Pro support. You see, when the iPad 10 originally released, we were kind of led to believe that this could not support Apple Pencil 2 because it needed a charging strip where the landscape camera was, and so we had to settle for the first gen Pencil and a horrific dongle that still gives me nightmares. Thankfully, they then gave us the much better Apple Pencil USB-C. With the new iPad Air Pro though, they have restructured the magnetic strip so you get wireless charging whilst also getting the landscape camera, and so there is a possibility we see Apple Pencil Pro on the iPad 11. Yes, it's kind of overkill having this pencil that's bloody gyroscope support and all kinds of cool tech on a display that's still likely not going to be laminated and also might lack P3 support, but I think just for some continuity in the range it would be nice if all iPads just supported the same pencils. Remember, you won't be forced to buy the Apple Pencil Pro just like other iPads, you can settle for the USB-C model. However, the USB-C model does lack things like pressure sensitivity that even the first gen pencil has, and so it would be nice to offer something more feature-packed for those who want it. You could argue it does not make sense for a non-Pro iPad to have a Pro Pencil, but remember the iPad Air Mini already support this, and so Apple does not give a damn about their naming scheme making any sense. The iPad Air is thicker than the iPad Pro, and so just bring the Apple Pencil Pro to the non-Pro iPads. We should not have a bloody compare page for iPad pencils. All iPads should just support the same pencils. Finally, I can see them updating the colors. At the end of the day, I think that's what most consumers care about anyway. Here's hoping we see an orange or green this time around to get all the Apple sheep way too excited about a design that originated from 2018. And that includes me, by the way. Now, I don't think the price will be changing. The base model should stay at $349. However, don't expect a storage upgrade with that model. Maybe if we're lucky, the Apple Intelligence model could get double the storage. I do, however, expect the Magic Keyboard Folio to come down in price, considering it makes no sense right now. It's only $100 cheaper than the actual iPads, and so maybe that's revised to $149 or $199. Though Gurman does give us some pretty interesting Magic Keyboard related news. So apparently the suppliers are developing a new keyboard for the iPads that's scheduled to launch by the middle of 2025. And what's interesting is that these were both designed for the iPad and iPad Air. It will lack an aluminium top case like the M4 iPad Pro Magic keyboards, but it may feature a function mirror. Now that makes me think Apple is going to simplify the keyboard range and use the same keyboard on the iPad and iPad Air, which would be a good move considering it's where the Magic Keyboard Folio has a function row, but the regular Magic Keyboard for the iPad Air does not. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this, and thank you for watching.